Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Tech Talk. I'm Janki Gattu, a GIS professional from Geosys Enterprise Solutions Private Limited. In today's Tech Talk, I'm going to present you a topic on analyzing crime using GIS. And Geosys Enterprise Solutions Private Limited is an ISO 9001 and 2015 certified organization, and we are also an ISRI partner company. Let's see the agenda for today. Today, we are going to see how GIS is effectively utilized in public safety management. As most of the citizens generally depend on government support for the security purposes. Due to this expectation, the government have to ensure all the time to protect its citizens from crime. That is the reason governments are trying to adopt latest technologies and digital systems to control the crime, to prevent and to invest the crime. GIS is playing a prominent role to help us identify the places where the crime is occurring, to find out the patterns of the crime, and in order to facilitate the investigation strategies. In today's Tech Talk, you're going to learn how GIS is going to used in crime analysis and the role of GIS in the modern law enforcement. Let's see what are the applications that we have in GIS. So one is identifying a crime. So how do you identify a crime? Whenever there is a crime that is occurred, we determine the location coordinates of that particular place. In most cases, crime generally takes place in the interior areas. So we actually record those incidents, and based on those incidents, we will try to find out the similar kind of patterns where the similar kind of crime is occurring, and making the public aware of the crime. What kind of crimes are occurring in their neighborhood, and what is the pattern of the crime in which it is occurring, and at what frequency it is occurring, so that you're alerting the citizens in the particular area to avoid, to prevent them from the crime. And then in evacuation, so normally when we have terrorist attacks and all, we need to know the right place to reach in kind of incidents like where there is a terrorist attack. In such cases, GIS plays a very prominent role in helping us to evacuate the places and to reach a safe zone. And the fourth application in crime is crime mapping. Crime will not only help us to find out the locations in which the crime is occurring, but it will also help us to find out the hotspots of the crime, which means like where there are more number of crimes occurring in a given location. Based on the previous crime data, we can find out the patterns, or we can analyze by running some hotspot analysis tools, and we can find out the areas in which more crimes are occurring. And the fifth application which we use in crime is crime investigation. So once a crime is occurred, there will be a lot of police force which will be coming into that location to investigate it. So they will need some clues to investigate your crime, and they need some evidences to be collected in the place of crime. So they collect all the evidences with respect to the suspects, and they try to analyze in a way with respect to a location to to start their investigation process. And the storage of crime interview data, this is really very important in terms of very big crimes like maybe cyber crime or maybe terrorist attacks and all. In all these kind of bigger crimes, you need to know, you need to have some data, the previously recorded data, based on which you can actually have a strategy when there is a similar kind of incident that is occurring. You can follow the strategy that you identified in the earlier crimes. You can have that data with you and you can form a strategy in analyzing the crime. And finally, the crime pattern analysis and crime prediction. So let's see how we can analyze crime using GIS. GIS and remote sensing, the combination of this two softwares, GIS software and remote sensing software, they use the data and they convert the data into information in which we'll be able to analyze the data in a way where we'll be able to identify the patterns of the crime. If you see here these two diagrams, there is a tool called as hotspot analysis tool, which we have run on the crime analysis data. And then we have find out different kinds of patterns. And these kind of patterns you can see wherever you're seeing this dark red colors, these are the areas where you have a lot of crime that is occurring. And wherever you're seeing the light blue color areas are the areas where you have a lesser crime. And this is based on the crime data, and when you run a tool, the tool interprets the patterns and it will give us a pattern in which the crime is occurring. So basically, when we are dealing with crime, we deal with two things. One is strategic crime analysis and the other one is tactical crime analysis. So strategic crime analysis generally collects the data and we study about the data that we have collected for the past several years to understand how a crime pattern is occurring in a given area. And we use a lot of statistical tools, and we create various kinds of layers and we give weightage to those layers, and then we try to find out the patterns. We try to understand the trend in which the crime is occurring, and we try to forecast when is the next crime going to occur based on the previous data which we have. And once you know when a crime is going to occur, you allocate some resources to prevent that crime, and you make this situation aware to the public in that locality in order to prevent that particular crime. So you are using GIS not only for mapping crime, but also in understanding the trend in which the crime is occurring, to forecast when a crime is going to occur, and to allocate resources in order to prevent the crime at a particular location. And in order to make the public aware, you're going to run your situational analysis. And the law enforcement is basically using GIS tools to prevent the crime based on the maps they are generating using the GIS tools. So let's see about tactical crime analysis. So tactical crime analysis is about pattern detection in which the crime is occurring and linking the suspects to the crime in which it is occurring. And we are going to target the suspect profiles and the suspect movement patterns. All these kind of analysis can be done in tactical crime analysis. And here, what we will be doing is, using GIS, we can analyze crime to identify the crime patterns and series, and we can link the modus operandi and suspect the information to specific crime locations. And we can provide investigative leads by aggregating data from multiple sources. And we can forecast the potential crime locations through using spatial tools and various GIS techniques. And we can support the operational plans, and we can deploy the resources at the locations when a crime is going to occur. And we can clear cases by linking suspects to specific crimes after arrest. And we can continuously monitor the high risk areas in which a crime is occurring. And here there are like various users who use GIS in their analysis for various purposes in crime. The crime analysts are going to use these statistical crime analysis tools and tactical crime analysis tools to prevent crime and to make the public aware of the crime patterns that are occurring in a given location. And it will also help them to strategize strategize and modify the existing strategies by understanding the crime pattern using the spatial analysis tools. And we have like various challenges when we are working with crime data using GIS. And the various challenges are the lack of availability of the data when there is an emergency requirement. Let us suppose there is a terrorist attack at a given location and you want to prevent the people in a given location. But then you don't have the location information or the demographic information. You don't know how much of population is staying there. You don't know like why terrorists are targeting at a given particular location only. What is the main reason behind that? You're not aware of it because you don't know the data, what is the data that is available at a given location during the time of emergency. And then you lack the efficiency and route optimization in an existing system, because in order to prevent a crime, you also need to know the various routes in order to plan for the people to escape from a particular attack, right? And the route should be very optimized so that the people will evacuate the place where a crime is occurring and they can move to the safe zones, right? And loss of valuable time in reaching emergency responses. Sometimes people are not aware how to use an application and how to understand how an application works. Even we prompt them with the different applications to use in terms of an emergency response by creating an application and sending them, but the people are not aware how to use that application. And sometimes the nature of risk is such a way that you cannot predict the nature of the risk because you don't have the historical information of that particular location or the data. And lack of coordination between various departments. There will be lots of surveys going on GIS in crime, but then there will be no proper coordination between various government departments. They don't share the data among the departments. And then as such, every time is a fresh survey and they'll lose a lot of existing data. And they don't use the actual data that is collected in the previous survey. And the timely response from the government departments. And to monitor all these kind of emergencies, it is very vital for GIS. In order to effectively use your GIS, you need to have a real-time monitoring tool, which is clearly lagging. So these are the various kinds of challenges which we have when we want to analyze crime data using GIS. Not only the crime data, in fact, any data in India. And how we can use GIS and how we can enable the workforce involved in analyzing the crime, how GIS can be used by the workforce, that we will see here. One is, so the patrol. The patrol means the people who are on the ground. They need real-time information in order to prevent the crime. So in order to prevent that, they need to know the real-time information. So they need an application where they can actually get the record of crimes as and when a crime is occurred, or as and when a crime record is submitted. They should be able to get that information, and they'll be able to monitor, and based on the crime that is recorded, the people who are available on the ground, they'll be able to take an immediate action, and they'll be able to go to that particular place of crime, and they'll be able to take a action plan. And then, so how many incidents are occurring, how many crimes are occurring in a given day, in which location more crimes are occurring, and what is the pattern of the crime, which types of crime are occurring more. So all these kinds of data the decision makers need to strategize their strategies. So they want a system in which they can visualize all these kinds of incidents. So they use a live dashboard where they can see what kind of crimes are occurring and how much of resources have been deployed to that particular crime location, and how many crimes have been resolved, and how many new crimes are occurring. So the types of a crime that are occurring at a given date. So all this kind of information, depending on the requirement of the decision makers, they'll be able to see everything on their live dashboards. And the dynamic tracking. So the dynamic tracking of information, you need to see like how we'll be able to do the monitoring of the incident. When a crime has occurred, how do you monitor it? And how do you know the live updates at a given location? So for that, you need an application which will be able to give you an updates of the crime. And time and attendance. So you also need to know whether the police force is actually going to a given location, and how much of force is actually present when an incident has occurred, and what is the actual force that is actually required at that given location in order to track this. So there are like various things which we can do using GIS, provided we need to know how GIS can be used in the right way. And the second thing is you need to have the availability of your data. And a few challenges which I told you in the earlier slide is about the lack of information and the lack of response that we get from the government departments, and lack of mutual interaction between the departments. They don't share the data, and they don't even know that the data is existing that has been collected by the previous agencies and all. So here there are like challenges that are faced by the law enforcement agencies. Earlier, when I told you about the challenges that are faced by the GIS analyst, or the forensic analyst, or the cybercrime analyst who use GIS as a tool in order to analyze the crime, those are the challenges that are faced by them. But as a law enforcement agencies, what are the challenges that are being faced by these people is validity of the information that is being collected. We never know how whether the data is correct or not, whether that's a crooked web data or whether that's a genuine data. We never know the validity of the information when that is especially a crowdsourced data. And the second thing is, to get the information on an organized crime is very difficult, and the way in which the data is organized is also a challenge because different police stations at different locations will follow different kinds of patterns in order to store their crime information, which is obviously a challenge because they don't maintain a centralized repository to access that information in a structured format. So all the data is unstructured, which creates a lot of problems for the law enforcement agencies because their whole time will go back into cleaning of the data and putting the data into a format in which they require, and then they analyze the data. So the analysis part time is very limited because they have the ready made tools available in GS. They use the tools and they analyze the data, but their entire time goes in cleaning the data, organizing the data, structuring the data. So this is not just with GS, but in fact with any software, we have this kind of problems, which has to be addressed initially, or else your entire analysis will go wrong, based on which your investigations are dependent and based on which the decision makers are going to take a decision. So that is the reason it is always recommended that you keep your data organized, structured, formatted, so that it can be used as and when it is needed by any kind of enforcement agency. And not only the validity of the data, but also the authentication of the data is also a question for the law enforcement agencies when they take the crime data. And a few other challenges is they'll have some missing information, missing clues, which they'll not be able to uh, get the information in order to have a meaningful structured information. So all these kind of challenges can be addressed provided they have a strategy in the way they collect the information and in the way they store the information, so that any kind of people who are in the law enforcement can use GIS strategically and tactically to address all the problems in the crime. So, what kind of analysis can we do? So here by using GIS, generally we prepare maps. So here in crime, we prepare crime maps and we tell the stories in which a crime has occurred. And we also predict when the next crime is going to occur, right? And we create various kinds of incident maps in the form in which an incident is occurring. And then we create hotspots to find out where more crimes are occurring and where more recurring crimes are occurring. And we analyze the patterns in which the crime is occurring and at which location the crime is occurring. And we also try to understand the demographic patterns of the location, which means what kind of people are there, what kind of businesses are there at a given location, and what kind of risk factors are there in that particular location. All these kinds of analysis can be done using GIS in order to analyze your crime. Based on the crime, you can deploy your resources and you can find the trends of the crime as well. Here we have shown you a small example. We have taken 1 kilometer, 1 mile buffer of a given location, and then we are finding out, we are mapping the roads, and we have mapped some schools in this given location. And within 1 kilometer, 1 mile of this buffer location, you have schools, you have crimes that are occurred, and we are trying to find what is the pattern in which the crime has occurred, and we are trying to find where more crimes are occurring, and we are trying to understand what kind of people do they live in the given location. So this is just a small example which is shown in this particular snapshot. Now we will see more about how GIS is used in crime in our demonstration. So I request anybody, if you have any questions, you can put on your chat window and I'll try to answer all your queries once my demonstration is done. So, okay, let's start with the demonstration. I'm opening a project. And I'm going to use ArcGIS Pro software. And in that, I have used an add-in called Crime Analysis add-in, which is a toolbox set of tools that are being developed specialized to the crime. So we are going to use those tools to analyze our crime today. Just give me a second. The project is getting loaded. Once that is loaded, I'll be able to share the project on the screen and then I'll be able to demonstrate that particular application. So this is the world topographic map, which is the base map which I have. And my area of interest is this Naperville area. And here I have the boundaries. Okay. And in this, I have mapped the schools. Let me change it to a different color so that it is visible to everyone. So these are the schools information which you're seeing here, the yellow colored ones. And then can you see all these blue colored ones are the robberies that occurred in this particular boundary, which are recorded in the police station at different dates and different years, and the type of the crime is also recorded. So let us see the attribute information of this robberies and schools. I'm just trying to explain you about the data first, and then we will work on with the tools. So here I have opened the robberies information, and so the point location is showing at which place that particular robbery has occurred. So here I have the X and Y coordinates, the ID for each robbery we have given an ID, and the address in which that particular robbery has occurred, in which municipality that incident has occurred, and under which law district that particular incident comes here, and what is the zip code, and what is the date of offense, and what is the time of offense, and when that offense was reported in the police station, and what is the kind of the crime we have, right? And the description, and did they use any kind of weapons? So if they have used any kind of weapons, the description about the weapons, and the status of the case, whether it is open, whether it is closed. So the case status and the officer who is dealing with this particular crime in that location, and the state in which this particular incident has occurred, and the offense date, offense hour, offense month, offense day, and offense year, in which year that particular offense has occurred. Okay. This is generally any information that is collected by any kind of police station in any country. So this has to be arranged in a proper way in order to analyze your data. And the second one, the yellow colored ones which you are seeing here, I'll turn off the strawberries. And the yellow ones are the ones which you are seeing is the school information. For each school, we have an ID and the name of the school. And what is the school? Is it a higher school? Is it an elementary school? So the type of the school and the owner, like whether it's a government school, municipal school, private school. So you have the type of the owner and the school information when it was updated. So all this information we have here. Okay, so we have robberies information and we have the schools information here. And the other one which we have at the back is our municipalities and the robberies when it occurred, in which agency it was reported. So that particular agency information and the website in which those incidents were reported were recorded here. Okay, so I think we are clear with the information which we have at this time. Okay, let's start our strategic and tactical crime analysis. So for which in our RGS Pro, we don't have this crime analysis tools. So this is a particular add-in which was developed and which is having all the list of tools which you're seeing here to analyze our crime information. So we are going to use our analysis tools mostly located in this area. You can see there are like various tools, the tactical and strategic analysis tools, all the list of tools here, and investigative analysis tools and cell phone analysis tools, repeat and near repeat analysis. These are the tools developed specialized to crime. So this is an add-in which I have added up to my RGS Pro in order to optimally use my GIS to deal with crime data. So here we are going to use our tools and then we are going to find out the patterns. So before that, we are going to use we are going to see how many robberies are occurring more at the location. More robberies, where are more robberies occurring at a location. So we are going to use our summary statistic tools to find out that one. So let's see how we can do that. So here I have my data and I've shown you the layers, robberies layer, schools layer, and the municipality boundary layer, which I have. And now I'm going to work on this 80/20 analysis tool to determine which locations are problematic locations. Means the places where the robberies are occurring more. So I'm going to use this 80/20 analysis tool in order to analyze the problematic locations where more robberies are occurring. Okay. So let me open this tool. So by using this tool, we are going to find out the areas where more robberies are occurring. So why do we run this tool? And what do we do with the output? Once we get the output, we will be able to have our strategy. The police force will have a strategy of that particular location where more crimes are occurring, and they create their strategies to reduce the crime or to prevent the crime in that particular location. So what do we want to reduce? We want to reduce robberies. So we are going to take robberies layer And I'm going to use 80-20 analysis. So I'm going to use robberies 80-20 analysis. So I'm going to take the full address into consideration when I'm running this tool. So let's wait for the tool to run and give us the output for the more problematic areas where more robberies are occurring. All right. So I turned off my robberies layer, and if you see the dots, there are like smaller dots, bigger dots, and graduated symbols here, which means the more bigger the symbol is, the more crimes are occurring in a given location. And hardly you can see more robberies at few places. Like here, if you see here, there are like 42 robberies that are occurring at this location, which means this is a very problematic area where the police force has to act promptly and they have to strategize to prevent the robberies occurring at this given location. And can you see the bigger dots here? And here we have like 34 robberies that are occurring, and it is 715 Fort Hill Road. So that is where 32 robberies are occurring. And if you see here, like, let me zoom more and then click. So here we have 37 robberies. So when you have seen here, these are the places, the important places which has to be strategized right away in order to prevent robberies occurring at those given locations. Of course, everything is important, but thing is, lot of crime can be controlled or lot of robberies can be controlled if the police protection is acting promptly at the places where more robberies are occurring, and this we have achieved using our 80-20 analysis tool. And let's see what we have in this. So here, this is showing us the list of robberies and the address in which the robberies are occurring. And if you see, this is the percentage in which the robberies are occurring and the cumulative percentage. So this field, cluster count field 42, 37, 34, which you are seeing, it is basically showing us how many incidents or how many robberies are occurring at that particular location. This is shown us by this cluster count column. And this percentage column is showing us the percentage of the total incidents that are occurring at the given location. And the cumulative percentage, it is basically helping us to identify how many locations are contributing to the total number of incidents within a given data set. And this is our address at which these incidents are occurring. Okay. All right. So let's move on to a different tool, and then we can work on the other analysis. And if you want to find out where the incidents are more than 15, so we can actually query it and we can export it as a layer, or we can make a definition query as well. So how do you make definition queries? Right click here, go to properties, And then properties tab, you have definition query, and you're going to create a new definition query. So I want to have like the cluster count, which means the number of incidents, or greater than or equal to. So you can give the incident count here 15. So here it will show me only the incidents that are greater than 15. Earlier I have 674 records. Total number of incident records which I have is 674, and now if you see I have only 11 records because I want to know where more robberies are occurring. So my cutoff is like if more than 15 robberies are occurring at a given location, which means that area is problematic, and that is where I have to have a strategy to prevent crime at that location. So that is the reason out of so many records I have filtered it out where more number of incidents are occurring, and the cutoff I have put as 15. If the number of robberies are less than 15, it is okay, it is controllable. But if it is more than 15, it is not controllable. So you need to have a strategy to control that. So that is the reason I have done a definition query and have generated the output here, where you can see based on the cluster count. Okay, so this is one kind of analysis. I hope you understood. And let's move to the other analysis. So now we will see like how many robberies are occurring within the school zones. School zone means basically when there is a school, we will have like 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers of buffer around that school, which means that zone belongs to that particular school. Even when you see in our neighborhood, we'll be seeing like for all vehicles, we'll be having a note saying that please go slowly, school ahead, right? So that particular zone is called as a school zone. So now we are going to see how many robberies are occurring within a buffer of a school. So which means we need to generate buffer for the schools, and then we need to see the robberies within that particular buffer, right? So let's start doing the buffer. I have a buffer tool here which is readily available. So I want to find the robberies that are occurring within the school zone, which means I have to buffer the schools. So what is the output you want? You can keep it here. School buffer. Automine. So I want to give distance if it is like 25 miles, which means that particular buffer zone is called as a school zone. Okay, and now I'm going to click on run so that I will get buffers for the schools. Let me turn off this layer. So now I have 0.25 miles of buffer for each and every school. And now I need to know how many robberies are occurring within a buffer zone of a school. Okay. For that, we have a tool called as Summarize Incident Report. So if you see here, creates a feature class with coincident point counts. Coincident point counts for line and point features are determined by a specified maximum distance. So here we are going to take this summarize incident count and we are going to summarize the incidents that are occurring within a school zone. Okay. So for this, my input is the school buffer which I have generated. Okay. And I want the robbery that falling within this zone. Let us, if you take school zone, I have only one robbery. But if you take this zone, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 robberies that are occurring. And if you take this school zone, you have robberies. And if you take this school, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 robberies are occurring. So we cannot count if there are like lakhs of records. That is the reason we are going to use our tool, and then we are going to determine our analysis. So in this buffer, I want to find out the list of robberies. So I have a group field. I can group it based on month. You can group it based on year, date, whatever you like. I'm clicking on run. So let me turn off the robberies. Let me turn off the schools. Now I have the school zones. Now I want my output to show me the list of robberies that are occurring in each and every school zone. Now we have, can you see here? Let me change the base map so that you'll be able to see it properly. Okay. So if you see here, like there are various colors. What is this color showing us? What is it symbolizing? If you see here, the number of robberies, if the number of robberies are less than 3, it is showing in this color. If the number of robberies are increasing, the color is increasing from this light yellow gray shade to dark pink color. So you can see here we have one dark pink, here we have one dark pink, here and here. So these are the areas or the school zones in which there are more robberies that are occurring. So let's click on one and see how many robberies are occurring. So here, Neck Valley High School, and if you see here, the total count is 56. 56 robberies has occurred in that particular area, in that particular school, which is in this range 35 to 56. That is the reason it is showing us this particular color. In the Naperville school, if you see, the total count is 44 robberies are occurring in that particular school zone. Let me click properly. In Washington's junior high school, there the number of robberies are 41. In the similar fashion, if you click on the lighter ones, the number of crimes would be less. So here it is 0. There are no crimes near to the school. Okay, so we have used a simple tool which is a summarize incident count tool, and we are summarizing the number of robberies that are occurring in a particular school zone. Okay, I hope you understood this one. Okay, let's move on to the other tool, and we will see like how to determine the increase or decrease in the robbery count. Okay, so for this, let me turn off this layer, and so I'll have this robberies layer. I have only this municipality boundaries and the robberies layer here. And here I have turned on this robberies layer, and now I'm going to use the tool select layer by date and time. So I'm going to select the robberies based on the date and the time. So I want the robberies based on date, time, or reported date. So based on the offense date, I wanted to find out the robberies. Okay. And here I can give it based on the year. So earlier we have seen there were robberies recorded based on 2017 and 2018 in our attribute information. So based on that, I'm giving 2017. And when I click on run, I should get the robberies in the year 2017. So can you see the highlighted, the dark blue ones are the total robberies, and the highlighted ones in the light sky blue color are the robberies which occurred in the year 2017. So now what I will do is I will save this layer. One second. So I have this robberies layer. In this robberies layer, I have this one second. I'll open this attribute information, then you'll get to know. So I have total number of robberies are 1,346, out of which the robberies that occurred in 2017 are 636. So I want the 636 selected layers to be available as a different layer as robberies 2017. So click on this tool layer from selection. So I have that list here now. Now I'm going to rename that as robberies 2017. Okay, if you want to give a different color for it, you can give. I'll turn off this layer and you'll be able to see. So these are all the robberies that occurred in 2017, and these are all the total robberies. So I'm clearing this. Again, I'm going to this select layer by date and time, and this time I want to generate all the robberies that occurred in 2018. So let me. So if you see here, out of 1,346 records, there are 710 records which occurred in 2018. So I want to make a layer out of this, and I want to rename that layer as robberies 2018. And And if you want to give a different symbology, you can give. I want to clear this and I want to turn it off. So if you are seeing here, these are the robberies that occurred in 2017 and these are the robberies that occurred in, green ones are the robberies that occurred in 2018 and the red ones are the robberies that occurred in 2017. Now we can see the percentage change from 2017 to 2018. What is the kind of percentage change that we have in the robberies from 2017 to 2018, so that we can use this tool. Earlier we have used 80/20 analysis tool, then we have used summarize incident count tool, and now we are going to use summarize percentage change tool. So here we have taken the school zones, right, earlier, like a 0.25 miles buffer. So we are going to take that schools buffer layer, and then within that buffer I want to find out the change. So I want the incidents that occurred in 2018 and I want the incidents that occurred in 2017, and I want to find out the change of incidents that occurred from 2017 to 2018 in the robberies. Click on save, click on run. All right, let me turn off these 2017, 2018 and the school buffer zones. So you can see here the robberies percentage change, the change in the number of robberies from 2017 to 2018. And if you see here, if it is less than minus 10%, then you are seeing this dark blue colors. And as the percentage of robberies has increased from 2017 to 2018, you're able to see it in the dark red color, I can say. And you are seeing these are the places where more change has occurred in terms of robberies from 2017 to 2018. And wherever you are seeing here, there is no percentage of change here, and these are the areas where you have low percentage change. Okay, so if you want to open the attribute information of it, and if you want to see, so here we have the facility ID, and then we have the facility name, and then whether it is a school, high school, elementary school, middle school. So you have the school, the owner type, the incident date, and the percentage of change. Okay, so based on this, the symbology has been given here. Okay, all right, shall we, I think we are over the time. All right, I'll tell you like one other tool. which we can use. Okay, and which we can work on this, and then we will wrap it up for the day. So by running this percentage, summarize percentage change on robberies, we have seen that there have been like many schools which are seeing the changes of robberies that has occurred from 2017 to 2018. But if you want to see if that robberies are occurring elsewhere apart from the school zones, because I have taken here the input as the school buffer zone and I have just checked the robberies within the school zones, but there are a lot of other places where robberies are occurring. If I turn on this layer, you can see there are other places apart from the school zones also where you're finding the robberies. So if you want to find out how these robberies are occurring in the other places, then we will run some other tool and we will see the change, how it occurred. So now I am going to use one other tool called kernel density tool. So it calculates the magnitude per unit area from point or polyline feature. So let's take this. Okay, I have the tool now here. Now let me run the tool and let me see how it is going to work. So here I want the 2017 robberies and I want to give the name for my output raster. Kernel density robberies that occurred in the year 2017. Okay, and now I'm going to click on run and I'm going to find out the robberies that occurred in 2017 using my kernel density tool. Let me turn this off. So you can find in 2017 there are lot of robberies that occurred in this area and in this area and this area. Though there are like lot of 2017 robberies, I'll open it up here. And you can see there are like cluster of robberies that happened here, here, and in this area. That is the reason the density is more in those areas. Similarly, we can find out the kernel densities in the year 2018 as well. Okay, so I will take the robberies that occurred in the year 2018 and so I want the kernel density robberies that occurred in the year 2018 and I can give the search radius. Earlier I did not take any radius into consideration, but now I would like to take the radius into consideration. But what radius can we give here? Let's see, like in the previous tool which we have created. So the default radius which the system has taken is 3299 feet. So we can take the same radius and we can run this. So we are going to check the kernel density now for the records that occurred in 2018. So yeah, I'm turning on the layer for 2018. So you can see here there are more incidents occurred here, here and here in 2018 also, based on the incidents we have generated earlier. So the kernel density is showing the intensity or the magnitude in which the robberies has occurred in 2018 as well. Now we can use a tool called as a minus tool, and we can find out the density change, kernel density change of the robberies that occurred between the two different years. As these are two different rasters, we are going to subtract one raster value from the other one. So kernel density robberies occurred in 2018 and the kernel density robberies that occurred in 2017, and we are going to find out the density change of the robberies. So we can see here the density change of the robberies that occurred between 2017 and 2018. So if you want to change the color, you can go and change the color here. And so I want to classify the group of values. So I'm giving here, and you can give any color you like. And so as the change increases, you can actually as the change increases, you can see like how it is varying from blue color to dark red color. The more the change, the more the color it is showing here. Okay, so I would like to conclude now. So today we have seen how GIS can be used in crime analysis, and various tools we can use in analyzing the crime. And this crime analysis is basically not in ArcGIS Pro, it's basically an add-in which we have used here to analyze our crime data. And we have used like various tools like buffer, 80/20 analysis tool, summary, summarize incident count, summarize percentage count, kernel density tool, minus tool. So we have used a lot of tools to find out the incidents, the robberies occurring at a given location, and the count, the more count of robberies occurring in each given year. And then we have found out the uh, incident count summary, and then we have found out the percentage change in the summary of the robberies that occurred between 2017 and 2018. And then we have found out the density of the robberies that occurred in 2017, 2018. And then we have found out the change in the density percentage of the robberies that occurred between 2017 and 2018. I think I'm done with this for today. And I request everybody, whoever is participating in our tech talk, I request everyone to give your valuable feedback. And if you have any queries, you can ask me now. You're open to the questions. And later on, if you have any further questions, also you can reach me directly on janki@geosisenterprise.com, or you can also WhatsApp us or call us directly on this number 9493880670, or you can also visit our website www.geosys.co.in.